They mapped the stars with no telescopes, built cities more advanced than parts of Europe. They predicted eclipses, built pyramids in the jungle, and then vanished. And it seems as though everything we thought we knew about them was wrong. The Mayan. The Mayan civilization is one of the most misunderstood ancient cultures in human history. Most people, when they hear Mayan, they picture human sacrifices, lost cities, or a doomsday calendar. But the truth is much deeper. It's more complex and far more fascinating. This isn't just another ancient civilization. The Maya developed some of the most advanced science, mathematics, and architecture ever seen. And all was done without wheels, iron, or even pack animals. In this video, we're peeling back the vines of mythology and Hollywood to uncover the real Mayan Empire, how they lived, what they believed, how they rose, and ultimately, how they collapsed. Stick around, because what you're about to discover will completely change the way you see the ancient world. Let's rewind time, back thousands of years. The Mayan story doesn't start with stone temples or dramatic collapses. It starts with corn. Around 2000 BCE, the ancestors of the Maya, simple farmers, began to settle in Mesoamerica. This included today's Guatemala, Belize, parts of Mexico, and Honduras. Their entire world was built around maize. In fact, in Mayan mythology, humans were made literally from corn dough. Ridiculous as it may sound, to them it was sacred, central to life, and the foundation for one of the most intelligent civilizations ever created. But what separated the Maya from other early farming cultures wasn't just food. It was vision. Over centuries, small villages transformed into powerful city-states. However, these weren't just towns. They were astronomical observatories, centers of ritual, and monuments to divine kings. By 250 CE, the Maya had entered their classic period, a golden age that would last more than 600 years. Cities like Tikal, Palenque, Copan, and Calakmul weren't just impressive. They were stunning. Imagine pyramids towering above jungle canopies, temples aligned with the stars, plazas filled with dancers, musicians, warriors, and scribes. The Maya carved their history into stone. Literally, thousands of hieroglyphic inscriptions survive, telling us about battles, kings, rituals, and even predictions of eclipses. And speaking of eclipses, here is the jaw-dropping part. The Maya tracked celestial bodies with incredible precision. Using only their eyes and hand-built observatories, they predicted solar and lunar eclipses hundreds of years in advance. They created calendars so accurate they put Europe's Julian calendar to shame. But they didn't just track time, they measured it religiously. You see, to the Maya, time wasn't linear. It was cyclical, and that for them made it sacred. Every date had a spiritual meaning. Their famous long count calendar began on what they considered the birth of the world, August 11, 3114 BCE. That is how the Mayan looked at the cosmos. Of course, mathematically, the Maya were ahead of their time. They were one of the first civilizations on Earth to develop the concept of zero, a breakthrough that took the Romans over 1,000 years to grasp. Their number system, based on 20s, allowed them to calculate astronomical cycles, chart architecture, and plan agriculture. But it wasn't all stargazing and science. The Maya were also deeply religious, and their religion was sort of dramatic. They believed that the gods required blood to keep the universe running. So kings, priests, and captives all shed blood to appease the divine. And yes, human sacrifices have happened. But rarely. And it always had a purpose. It was maybe to mark cosmic events, crown new rulers, or to avert disasters. To them, sacrifice was not horror. It was an honor. And then there is their politics. Contrary to popular belief, the Maya wasn't a single empire. They were a patchwork of rival kingdoms. Each city-state had its own ruler, often claiming divine status. Kings weren't just political leaders, they were gods on earth. Their job? Maintain the balance between human and the gods. This, of course, meant rituals, warfare, and expansion. And speaking of wars, their wars weren't just about territory. They were spiritual. Capturing rivals, especially nobles, was essential. A captive king wasn't just a political victory, it was a blood offering of cosmic importance. For centuries, these city-states fought, traded, allied, and betrayed one another. For instance, Calakmul and Tikal, two of the biggest powers, waged a cold war of alliances and battles for nearly a century. Think of it like the United States and the Soviet Union, but in the jungle, and with obsidian blades instead of nukes. That was basically their steady status until something happened. Around 800 CE, cracks began to appear. The great cities that had once teemed with life began to falter. Temples were left unfinished. Royal inscriptions stopped. Populations dropped. And by 900 CE, many of the core cities, especially in the southern lowlands, were abandoned. This wasn't a single cataclysm, it was a slow-motion collapse. But why? Theories abound. Climate records suggest a massive drought hit the region, lasting decades. With no rivers and unpredictable rainfall, the Maya relied heavily on reservoirs. As water dried up, so did crops. Subsequently, starvation spread. Adding to that, the overpopulation, deforestation, and a ruling elite obsessed with war and ritual instead of reform. Of course, internal unrest followed. When kings, or as they thought of them as gods, couldn't provide rain or stability, their divine legitimacy crumbled. People simply walked away, not just from cities, but from the old ways. But the fall wasn't universal. While southern cities like Tikal and Copan collapsed, northern cities like Chichen Itza in the Yucatan rose in their place. And this new phase of Maya civilization was different. It was less monumental and more militaristic, and eventually influenced by foreign powers like the Toltecs. By the time the Spanish arrived in the 1500s, the Maya still existed, but their golden age was long over. Instead of a mighty empire, the Spaniards found scattered villages and decaying ruins. However, the story doesn't end here. You see, for centuries, the Maya were dismissed as primitive or forgotten entirely. The jungle swallowed their cities and their language was lost. It wasn't until the 19th and 20th centuries that archaeologists began uncovering the truth. Deciphering the Mayan script was one of archaeology's greatest puzzles. Unlike the Egyptian alphabets, Maya glyphs combined phonetics, logogram, and symbols. Cracking the code took decades, and in many ways, we're still learning. Each stone panel is sort of a tweet from the ancient world, some boastful, some tragic, many still mysterious. Today, we know that Maya were not extinct. Their descendants still live in Mexico. They also live in Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. Over 7 million Maya speak modern dialects of the ancient language. They also practice traditional farming and carry on customs passed down for centuries. So the Maya civilization did not die, it adapted. And as modern science advances, we're learning more than ever. Lidar scanning, which uses lasers to map terrain, has revealed hidden cities beneath thick jungle canopies. Complete with road systems, canals, and even suburbs. The Maya were far more urbanized and interconnected than we imagined. And that is the twist that no one expected. The Maya were never truly lost. We just weren't looking in the right direction. You see, they left us everything. Temples aligned with Venus, texts written in stone, entire cities covered in trees. We ignored them because they didn't fit our narrative of what an advanced civilization should look like. We searched for Atlantis and ignored the real miracle sitting in the jungles of Guatemala. Their rise was slow, their brilliance undeniable, and their fall not the work of some mysterious curse, but of climate, politics, and human error. Sound familiar? The Maya teach us a lesson not just in history but in humility. how civilization rise, flourish, and fall, how nature always has the final word. The Mayan civilization wasn't just about pyramids or sacrifices. It was about a people who understood the stars better than anyone, who engineered without metal. They gave us art, language, science, architecture, and a glimpse into how brilliant humans can be without modern technology. And maybe, just maybe, their collapse is a warning that no matter how advanced we think we are, ignoring nature, overconsumption, and political obsession can undo even the most enlightened society. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell.